I'm sure you've had moments before with your own Greek family as a heritage learner, or maybe the Greek family of your significant other, and you didn't know what to say in Greek. Well, in this video, we're going to be covering a bunch of phrases that are very useful so that you don't find yourself in these situations ever again. If it's your first time here, my name is Yorgos. I'm a Greek teacher and a Greek native speaker, and I'm also the founder of a Greek learning community with over 2,400 members. And my sole purpose is to help you become conversational in Greek. So without further delay, let's jump into our phrases, and we're going to be seeing different phrases for different parts of the conversation and different parts you want to communicate. The first phrases we're going to see are phrases to enter the conversation. So normally these are phrases that have to do with small talk and small little things that you say when you just start talking with somebody. So the first thing to say when you're meeting a person from your Greek family would be to say Gya σου and then their name. I didn't include this in the board. It's something that's pretty basic. Gya σου Maria, Gya σου Alexandre, Gya σου Yorgo. And then, going into the small talk, we have a few options. The most common one is to say Τι κάνεις? And that means how are you? There are a few more alternatives, but I don't want to overwhelm you with 100 different things of the same thing to say, so we're gonna go with Τι κάνεις? Our response to that would be Καλά εσύ, and that means good. And you? You can have also small variations to that. You can say Πολύ καλά, which is very good, εσύ. And then a great thing to make the person open up is to say Τι νέα, and that means what news. Now, if the person knows that you are just beginning your Greek learning journey, or maybe you're a beginner at Greek, hopefully he's not going to over-expand and be very high level and very advanced in the way that he speaks. But if he does, maybe you can have somebody else that can help you fill in the gaps with translation. Another great thing to say when you enter a conversation is to say Χαίρομαι που σε βλέπω. Χαίρομαι που σε βλέπω. And that means I'm happy to see you. Such a great and heartfelt thing to say to somebody that you like. Probably they will respond with επίσης at that point, which means also or me as well. And lastly, another great thing is to say πώς είναι η οικογένεια. Πώς είναι η οικογένεια. And that means how is the family? And here you would expect a response of the kind η οικογένεια είναι καλά, δόξα τω Θεώ, όλοι είμαστε καλά και υγιείς. So this would be a typical response. But again, if you're having a hard time understanding, then somebody else maybe can fill in the gaps with translation. Next up, we're going to be seeing some phrases that have to do with you telling them where you're at with your Greek, and maybe some clarification phrases in the meantime. For example, the first phrase that we're going to see is μαθαίνω ελληνικά, which means I'm learning Greek. Basic, implied, but still, if you are making a serious effort recently, you can go for saying this. Next up, we have καταλαβαίνω λίγο, and that means I understand a bit or a little. This is great because maybe they're expecting that you know a lot of things, so telling them I understand a bit, καταλαβαίνω λίγο, is a great one as a reminder. Then we have μίλα μου στα ελληνικά. Μίλα μου στα ελληνικά. And that means speak to me in Greek. Maybe they're going to try to switch to English to make it more comfortable for you, but in case you're practicing and you want that native comprehension, then go for telling them μίλα μου στα ελληνικά. That reminds them that you want to practice, so please speak to me in Greek. Another great one is μίλα μου αργά παρακαλώ. And that means speak to me slow, please. And we can have a great alternative to that, which is μίλα μου πιο αργά παρακαλώ, which means speak to me slower, please. This is a great one when the person that you're talking with maybe still they're not used to the fact that you're a beginner, so you want things to go slower, so this is a great reminder. And you can even cut this short. Instead of μίλα μου αργά παρακαλώ or μίλα μου πιο αργά παρακαλώ, you can just say πιο αργά παρακαλώ, which is slower, please. And lastly, we have κάνω λάθη, αλλά προσπαθώ. Κάνω λάθη, αλλά προσπαθώ. And that means I make mistakes, but I'm trying. This shows humility, and this shows that you're doing your best And even though you're not really great yet at speaking Greek, you're still making an effort to show up and speak Greek in conversations. Now it's the time to cover maybe the most important phrases of this video, which are phrases that you can use whenever you don't understand. So you can still stay in the conversation, stay in the fight of speaking Greek, but use some phrases to ask maybe what a word means, to tell them to say it again. We covered before to tell them to say it slower. So let's jump into that. So the first one would be Μπορείς να το πεις πάλι. Μπορείς να το πεις πάλι. And that means, can you say it again? Obviously super useful. If you don't get it the first time, you can tell them to repeat. And then maybe you can tell them to say it slower if you want. Next one is Συγγνώμη, δεν κατάλαβα. Συγγνώμη, δεν κατάλαβα. And that means, I'm sorry, I didn't understand. You can say this whenever you haven't understood, and I would actually suggest the following order. First, tell them to say it again. Next, tell them to say it slower. And lastly, if you still don't get it, tell them to say Συγγνώμη, δεν κατάλαβα. I'm sorry, I didn't understand, I didn't get it. Next up, we have Τι σημαίνει αυτό? Τι σημαίνει αυτό? And that means, what does this mean? And then maybe you can include a Greek word at the end of that. For example, τι σημαίνει αυτό? Κατάσταση. And that would be, what does this mean? Κατάσταση. And then it's a random Greek word that maybe you didn't understand during the conversation. And you can even just exclude αυτό, and instead of αυτό, put the word that you don't understand. For example, τι σημαίνει κατάσταση? And lastly, we have πώς το λένε στα ελληνικά. Πώς το λένε στα ελληνικά. And that means, how do they say it in Greek? And this one is very useful because you might have an English word in mind, but you don't know it in Greek, and you want to tell the person that you're speaking with, πώς το λένε στα ελληνικά? Bored, for example. And maybe they will help you out. They will say, βαριέμαι. So the last one is a great one to know as well, just in case you want some help from English to Greek. So the last one is super useful as well. And lastly, we have a bunch of words that we use them to add a bit of warmth to the conversation or make the conversation sound a little bit more natural and our interactions to sound more natural. The first one is bravo, and you use this to praise somebody when they're doing something right. Bravo. Then we have Ella. And as you know, Ella is a very flexible word, very versatile word, but the one translation that is more common to a context of Greek families and Greek get-togethers and speaking with Greek families, that would be whenever somebody's calling you, then the way to respond would be to say Ella, which translates to something like, hey, what? What's up? What is it? Then we have σωστά. And σωστά is a great one to use whenever you are talking with somebody, you're understanding what they're saying, and you want to show them that you agree. Σωστά. Then we have αγάπη μου, and that means my love. This is more for your significant other, but you can also use it for other people. For example, sometimes personally, I might refer to my sister as αγάπη μου. So this is very common between families because families love each other. Then we have μου έλειψες. Μου έλειψες. And that means I missed you. So if you have a special connection with some family member, you can say that. The next one is καλή όρεξη. And that means good appetite. And we use that in Greek right before we're about to eat. Maybe another one here that would be very useful would be στην υγεία μας. And that means to our health. And we use that just before we're about to drink. So somebody says, similarly like καλή όρεξη, one person says it and then everybody says it. Same like στην υγεία μας. One person says it, maybe they raise their glass and everybody says it as well and starts clinking their glasses together. Normally, στην υγεία μας happens first and then καλή όρεξη happens after. And lastly, we have πολύ νόστιμο, and that means very tasty. So if you're in a family meal with your Greek relatives, this is a great one, especially after you taste the food. It will make the people that cook the food like you much more. And also you will show appreciation for the tasty food. So that was it. So I hope now you're feeling a little bit less intimidated by these Greek family gatherings, because now you know how to blend in a bit better and also how to survive these conversations. And again, be patient, trust the journey, trust the process. Eventually, the more comfortable you become in Greek, the more comfortable you will feel in these family gatherings. If you want to build towards that conversational level in Greek, you can join my free Greek learning community where we teach you how to speak your first real Greek sentences in just 7 days. So if you're interested, the link is in the description down below. Ευχαριστώ και τα λέμε σύντομα.